Oh, hey, Senor Ortiz,
Hey,
live, man. Are you ready to get this thing cracking, brother?
man, let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey. Oh, what it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I am coming at you live for another week of getting in our bag with my co-host.
JoJo, baby.
Hey, we
Woo!
are in the building, man. Look, man. Woo. Hey, look, y'all. December is here. The Santa rally is in full effect. If you look at the title for tonight, it's titled Riding the Wave, End of the Year Stock Market Rally Insights. And so I know Jose gonna have a little bragging for us tonight because I seen one of his favorites has really been going through the roof. So I know we're gonna talk about that. But overall, please remember that in December, this is historically a good month because everybody is trying to get their last little bits in because we know that tax time is around the corner. So if you got some losses, you're gonna get rid of them losses. But if you see things dropping, you're gonna pick it up. I went shopping. I went shopping today. My God, I spent a lot of money today. Hey man, look, man, how you feeling, brother?
Well, it's good to be on, man. Good to be back, dude.
Yeah.
Took a little break. We were sitting there just trying to collect that money, but one of the accounts, like you said, has been steady on the upward. Um, Still trying to make some moves. Been a little busy at work to try to make more moves, but we'll be talking about some of the stuff later. But I do agree with what you said about making sure that end of year we get this little bit. Um, in particular, now that we did have the election behind us. Elon Musk is working with Donald Trump. Crypto is on the rise. But just be careful with everything that you do out there when you're trying to get in on something that could be on the way too far up. Remember, the trend is your friend until it
Yeah.
isn't.
Until it is. Woo! My
But
God.
man,
Yeah.
just get things started, man. Glad to be here. Just remember January 20th, Trump's speech. Just be careful. You never know what he might say.
Yeah, you never know what he might say. Love, but because the biggest thing is this dude is gonna move the stock market, right?
Yeah.
You think about the crypto. Before he talked, crypto was like about $70,000, 60,000, somewhere up in there. Since then, crypto has moved over 100,000, rejected, came back down. XRP, I remember buying this XRP at 50 cents.
Mm.
XRP went all the way up to almost $3, right? And so, like you're saying, a lot of money has been moving. And so then that's when you appreciate days like today, where you get those red days, because when we know that in a bull market, in a strong uptrend, we use those pullbacks to not be afraid, but we
Mhm.
use those pullbacks to get in and get our positions because we know that those dips are ate up pretty quick. So today was a very dippy day. We'll take a look through some of our sections as we look at our fear and greed index, as we look at our heat map, as we look at our VIX. And so that will kind of give you a good look into what's going on inside of the market. And it'll also show you kind of some of those sectors that are having that weakness so that you can say, okay, let me look a little deeper into this section. Because as you know, we have a lot of things that are going on in the market. One thing I would say definitely that we're looking at tariffs, right? So tariffs have the opportunity to really change what's going on when we think about stocks from China, when we look at Mexico, when we look at all those pieces of just really what's going on. Then we also have China today said that they're going to do some easing. So then we had a lot of stocks that are Chinese stocks, your JD, your Babas, all of these, your Billies, all of these stocks that really saw a good climb today. And so we'll kind of look into that. But basically, a lot of things that are going on toward the end of the year, A lot of pieces are moving. So you really have to be intentional about where you put that money. But more important on being intentional is the time that you choose to put that money in. Today was a good day. If you bought Friday, shit, you probably mad right now. You don't even know what happened. Your stop loss is either violated or either you should have set one and now you crushed today. So just think about what's going on. Because I will tell you one that caught me too. I was accumulating shares of MicroStrategy. Now was the wrong time. A few months ago, MicroStrategy was $100. Now it's like $400, right? And so I bought 5 shares and the bottom fell out of it. So I think I was down. I think I sold down $400. Right, I just gave away 400 back to the market, but it's all because I didn't choose the right time to make that purchase. So intentionality on where you put your money, but also when you get ready to decide to put that money into the market makes a big difference. I had one of my friends sign up for Robinhood, and I would say, well, just watch. You in there, just watch. And he still bought some things. And so today he gave me that look like, bro, what happened? And so I told him, man, now is not the time. Don't be the person buying at the top and then you left holding the bag. All right, bro. Let's get into a little bit of news so we can get this show started for y'all. Let's go. So in today's news, wait a minute before I do that, let me get my screen together so you can at least see what we got going on here. So in today's news, what we're doing is we're talking about the Santa rally, right? So big shouts out to TradingView bar chart. The title of this article was, "Can the stock market offer you cash for Christmas?" And what was the answer? Absolutely. Hey, and I will not agree with that. So let's face it, with the inflation still above the Federal Reserve's 2% target, everybody could use a little bit more cash as the holiday season approaches. I agree. And so as traders scramble to find opportunities in the extended bull market, they must look no further than the S&P 500 index during December. And so what this article goes on to do is kind of give us some reasons that we can look to get the bag in the month of December. So let's take it a little bit further. Money tends to flow in the stock market during the fourth quarter due to a combination of factors, right? And so then we got historical seasonal trends. You got increased consumer spending during the holiday season. You got the investor optimism heading into a new year. And this is called the Santa Claus rally, where stocks often rise in the last week of December, leading to higher average returns for the quarter compared to other periods. But traders don't have to wait until the end of December to reap the benefits of the seasonal strong period. Let's talk about it. So the first thing is seasonal patterns. Historically, the fourth quarter has shown the best average returns, creating a perception that this is a period for favorable for stock investment. So got a lot of earnings that's going on right now. I think about C3 tonight just announced a partnership. So they have been on a tear ever since their last earnings. So today was nothing. Nothing surprising. Next, holiday spending. So increased consumer spending during the holiday season. And when I think about this, I look at stocks like Target, right? So, man, was that like 2 weeks ago? Maybe, like a month ago, a month and a half, Target got obliterated after their earnings. But because we are in December, because retail is really showing out, Target has already came back up probably around $15 so far, right? And so for all the people who bought in those dips, you are really getting some of those returns. It was rocky for a second, but it's still there. Holiday spending. So increased consumer spending during the holiday season can positively impact companies' earnings, boosting those stock prices. Now, so we just talked about a lot of those retail companies that are getting to the bag toward the end of the year. Next, New Year optimism. So when we think of what's going on New Year, Jose just talked about it January 20th, right? That's when we get our new president. And so this guy is all about, and I guess this is the word I can use, but deregulation almost. And so making life easy for the big companies, giving them tax breaks, working on the bottom line of that company. And so while the products may not get any cheaper from Apple, Apple will get those tax breaks that will make them have more profit on what they sell, which in turn makes that company go up in the stock market, right? Stock prices rising because we are seeing more money inside of what we're doing. All right, so that's our New Year optimism. So the Santa Claus rally refers to the tendency for stocks to rise in the last trading days of December, further contributing to the positive performance of the fourth quarter. Naughty or nice, Santa Claus will look out for you this year as his 401k has double-digit returns again. Man, Jose, anything about that?
I just think that when you think about all of that going into what you were saying with these companies, one of the things that I've been reading and seeing is, he's, Trump is trying to put together a team that's going to oversee, AI, and regulating companies who work with that.
Mm.
And so one of the companies that I'm looking at later on in the show, is an AI company that is, I'm, thinking about where I'm going to go next with some of the money. So also going back to all the news here and what KT was saying earlier, there's a lot of things that have gone up within the past couple of months. So as you think about this rally continuing, you think about some of the stocks that are up there. It's have to decide between waiting for a pullback. Is it going to be a pullback? Are we going to have a correction? Thinking about just overall where we're at as a market. And once we get into this fear and greed, we'll talk about that. And then I'll kind of summarize what I was thinking with some of these big name tech companies as well, going through with that.
Yeah. And we know we got a lot going on. We got CPI coming out. We got Uncle Jerome coming out December 18th. Will they do another rate cut? And so right now, as we look at our heat map, we'll see that tech has been struggling, right? But we know if yields go up, people are going to flock to tech because that is our safest bet. So we got a lot happening for over the next 2 weeks. So I think we'll really have to just buckle up and let's take this ride, man. All right, so that will do it. Just kind of getting a little bit more into talking about that Santa rally. TradingView, if you go to that, this was an article from December 9th. So this was today, matter of fact. So this is what they talked about. So that's letting you know it is fresh. But the thing is, we have data coming out. And with that data, it has the opportunity to move those markets either up or very, very down toward the end of the year because people eventually finna start taking profits so they can get these taxes out the way and get rid of these losses. And when they do, God bless us. All right, man. I think that'll do it for that. What we'll do now is we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to get into our fear and greed. Well, simply just the overall heat check. So let's take us a quick break. And when we come back, look at this heat map.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Administrators Podcast. This is KT, my co-host
JoJo, baby.
Hey, look, we are in the building, constantly getting to the bag. Look, y'all. Some days the messages that we send to each other throughout the day, look, you be like, oh my God, how did he do it? I'm telling you, like, but it's no more than what we talk about on the show. We giving you the information, and then you can go back. So many people say, well, how can I get this? Or what do I need to do? I just send them back, man, to the stocks. Because the thing is, you can get in and be lucky once or twice just because you heard something and you bought it. But that is not anything that you can use over time. The biggest piece is going to be when we go into that platform probing, right? And we showing you these charts, we showing you the EMAs. That's how you go in and you learn how to fish versus feeding yourself that one time. And so Make sure you stay locked in as we go through this heat map, as we go through all of these pieces tonight, because the money is in the charts, right? So pay attention. All right, first up, what we'll look at. Wait a minute, hold up, Darren. We ain't even do this the right way, bro. Let's go. Heat check. All right, y'all. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Mm.
Whew. All right. Let me make sure I ain't got nothing covered up. So we are looking at the heat map tonight. My God, Jose, what you got to? Oh my God, bro. As we say in school, Jose, what are you wondering as you
Well,
look at this heat map?
I'm actually thinking about everything that we've talked about before and the fact that things have been on the rise. So an expected, pullback, um,
Mm.
what was for me anyway when I look at everything. But this is going to be one, not the brag of the night, but one of the brags is if
Mhm.
you look square in the middle, my friend Apple is green.
Yes.
And so with that, um, the last time we spoke, I said, watch out for Apple because it had been, in the red for a couple of days.
Mhm.
So shout out to all of you who actually went out, bought you some calls. If you bought those January calls that we had talked about, even if you got 260 calls at one point, but those 250 calls that I've been holding for almost 6 or 7 months, I'm down to my last four because I sold some. Because believe it or not, Apple is at 240, or it crossed 247 today, and so
Yes, sir.
I sold a couple more today. I had sold some, last week when it was up around a little bit, same area. Then it dipped a little bit Friday, but yeah, Apple, still got a few left. So trying to get to that 250, I by January. It's one of those stocks that I know we talked about because I know it was in the red. And then the other one that I think is, you know, that we've also been talking about, Nvidia. If you
Mm.
look at now, we're red. We've been red. We've been talking about what is it going to do. I think now, if you were patient with, the redness, you saw it go green for a little bit. Now we're starting to think about, is it time to pull the trigger and get some? I'm still holding on to those. Actually, I got March calls and June calls, so I'm still holding on. So
Mm.
now it might be time to thinking about, are we getting to that part where we're definitely going to buy some more long-term lead calls a few months out. So definitely Nvidia is doing what we thought it might do, but it's
Mhm.
a little bit more redder than I thought at this particular moment, thinking that we would be bouncing or shaking out soon. However, it was green a couple of days last week, and so was AMD. So as we continue to hear about semiconductors, chips in the world, like KT said, these tariffs, um, those some of the main ones that are going to be affected more so than some of the American ones, like Texan, uh, TXN, maybe
Mhm.
MU, Qualcomm. But anyway, those are my two main focuses on whether or not I'm going to pull the trigger and buy some more.
Yeah. And as we look at this map, understanding that Nvidia today had a big drop because China stated that they are now going to investigate Nvidia for monopoly
Mm,
practices, right? And so we all know that Nvidia is pretty much the leader in this field. And so the US has really been trying to stop Nvidia from selling China certain chips. And so what I believe is about to happen is this is no more than China kind of gearing up for everything that's going to come retaliatory based on the tariffs that are going, based on the rhetoric that's starting to happen, um, to where it's going to be them versus us. As you looked at today, what they're doing now is they're about to start pumping their economy, right? Because they're saying if tariffs come, everything starts to slow. We have to be able to stand on our own. And so, as you look at some of those stocks today, that's what happened with those Chinese stocks because they are said that they're about to turn on the money printer, right? And they're about to start making sure that they have some reserves for when it happens, just in case the tariffs go crazy here. Now, the thing is, this could well be just talk and it could never happen. But the fact of we see people positioning in ways where if it does happen, somebody has to lose. And unfortunately, as the consumers, we will lose. That will be us, right? Because everything is double taxed almost. And so, and I was looking at something where it said even the people that are not taxing, for instance, I think we had something last Trump presidency with U.S. Steel, right? So all the steel that was imported from Japan, all those places had extra high tariffs. So therefore, U.S. Steel jumped. But what did U.S. Steel do? They raised their prices. And who could say something, right? Because you can go high over here with the tariff jump, or we did a mid jump, but we still raised the price. So once again, consumers are the ones who suffer from this. For me, Jose, pretty much the same thing. Of course, Nvidia and AMD will go hand in hand. 130, that is crazy. Don't even know how that happened. ABGO has earnings Thursday. I want to say maybe, yeah, is that Thursday? Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. But they have earnings this week. So I was looking at the call here today. I had one already. And so when I tell you it was about $900, $800 down. And so today we have went to the upside, but that's always because time is always on my side when I buy my calls. And so nothing surprised me about that, just being able to hold. Um, Speak out, shout out to United Health. I think they did catch the guy today who was the person of interest inside of that. What a tragedy it was with this stock. Eli Lilly still kicking, right? So just looking at that health sector, we did have a few winners in there today, a few losers. Let's see. Google, Meta. Wow. I did get a chance to jump in some of that. Called it at a 611. So that's already sitting pretty. But then, Jose kind of dropped a little teaser for his. And so I have something over here in this software infrastructure that we will also look at today just to see where we can put this money to get in our bag. All right, that will do it for the heat map. Once again, we use these not as our only tools as we look at stocks, but right now, this is telling us, okay, who had a big drop today? We say, okay, let me look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA was red. Then we go over here and we look at our legend, right? And so we said it was 3% down red. So what does that tell us? Let's go look at it, right? We look at AMD down 5%. Once you go in, you do your research, you find out why they were down. Then we're able to go back in. So whether this is a change in leadership, whether it's something that happened. And so, as we know today, it wasn't a change in leadership, but it was news about them being investigated. And so that really dropped the price. The problem is NVIDIA is so big, right? Because they're one of the biggest stocks in the market that when NVIDIA goes, look at AMD. AMD goes, right? And a lot of more people goes because the S&P is, NVIDIA is the heaviest weighted stock almost in the S&P. And so then you look, we had a big pullback on SPY as well. Big shouts out to that car that I seen this weekend. Thanks, SPY. Hey, that was crazy. Y'all, I was out. I seen a Lamborghini this weekend, and on his license plate, it said, thanks, SPY. Now, we all know that brother got that bag from S&P 500. All right, let's get ready to move over to our fear and greed index. So what this does is it tells us where are people in the stock market? What is the sentiment in the stock market? So we go from extreme fear, neutral, greed, and extreme greed. And so I always put these in terms as start your position, add a little bit more on. Right now, you ought to have a nice position, right? Because at this point, we may buy a little bit more, but you really got to start watching what you buying when you get over here. So start that position, get in your bag, hold. Make sure that stop loss set over here because this thing could jump back or be ready to buy, right? You don't put all your position in at one time. Remember what I say? You're gonna go 25%, 25%, and once you see that thing roll, that's when you put your other 50% of that position in. So we always waiting to see what's going to happen because we're not going to go full blast off the top. But when we get back over here, you better make sure that you are watching very carefully. And by the time we get here, you better be taking profit because usually what happens, we get over here and then hey, some kind of way we always end back up over here. So if you look, our previous close, Friday, neutral. 1 week ago, we were at greed, right? 1 month ago, we were at greed. 1 year ago, we were at greed. We just talked about why. This December, usually around this time of December, is going to go crazy with the stocks as we get our Santa Claus rally before we start doing tax loss harvesting. So watch what you're doing. Right now, positions were built over here. Unless you were looking for something to get in on a pullback like today, you're pretty much in a holding pattern because we don't know what's going to happen next. We can look at what historically happens, but then we always know we got data coming out. We got any news that can drop. We still got tensions in the world. So things could get ugly real fast. Anything you got to say on this one, Jose?
Just neutral, like we've been talking about. We were in that greed. We had even hit extreme greed for a little bit. Just going with what you were saying, right now, this was expected for the market because we have rallied in the past couple of weeks. And just so as you can tell, when you start trending up, you can expect a pullback. You can expect to go from extreme greed to neutral to fear. You can expect it when we've been going up for so long. I just want to reiterate that, that the stock market is getting to a point where we're starting to perhaps get to that buy zone. And if, in particular, some of the stocks that we've been talking about have hit that, quote unquote buy zone. But yeah, that S&P has been, good, has been nice. All the stocks that make it up, but just keep an eye. Like I said before, I'm steady keeping an eye on that Apple because as we're at neutral, Apple's green. I'm curious as if we continue to move forward to the greed section, where that Apple ends up.
What happens next? All right. Lastly, we'll take a look over at our VIX. And so what this is simply our volatility index. And so this is how much of that shift is in the market, right? And so as we look and we see, even with our fear and greed being at neutral, even with all of those stocks today in the red, our VIX is still 14. Now, don't get me wrong. If you look over here, you can see us. Hey, this is not good. But at the same time, under 15 is still low for this time. So let's kind of see where we're at, kind of see what will happen next as we're in this neutral part. Just take everything slow. That's all I can say. Just watch what you're doing. If you're choosing to get in positions, remember what I said, 25, 25, and then your last 50, because we don't know if we're going to lean back to fear or we're going to head to greed. If we head to greed, oh, it's up. It's up. End of the year, get your money, man. But you got to be ready for both ways because we can make money in both ways, but you got to be nimble. You got to be quick. All right, what we'll do is let's go ahead and jump. Well, we'll take another quick break. And when we get back, Let's see how much bragging Jose gonna do in trading with Ortiz. We'll be right back. All right, y'all, we about to go trading with Ortiz.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I.
All right, Jose. Look, man, I already know. I feel like I know what you got up your sleeve for tonight, but I think you're gonna throw us a curveball. So let's see, man. Talk to us tonight about what you got. And if you need to share some, go ahead, let me know, and then I'll put everything on the screen for you. But
Yeah,
y'all, let's sit back and watch this.
I'm about to share the screen. Before I get into any bragging, we're going to talk about a couple of stocks that I'm looking at, and one in particular that I'm not too sure if a lot of people out there know about. But we going to talk about that, and hopefully we can get some bags out there. So, oh, it's going a little slow tonight. Hoping I can get there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
But you can't see my screen, huh?
Oh man, the boy got the wheel of death.
Oh, here we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. So the first stock I want to talk about is an AI stock, because we were talking about that earlier, and we got microchip technology, and I got the year chart right now. So over the year, you can see that we have been in a downtrend, and if you look at pure technicals, we are looking at a 33 RSI relative strength index, which is a little bit above oversold. So we are looking at for me, a buy area. Why? Because if you look at this MACD, you got the 12 and the 26-day moving average and the 200, we are sitting at a gap that is going to fill to the upside, where the blue line, if we keep going, eventually out to here, I think we can go down to at least 61.50, and then we can move to the upside. If I go down to the 1 month chart, you can definitely see that we're starting to form a bull flag. If we go down a little bit, and so you can see that we're still in the 39s for our RSI, but definitely looking to start the uptrend. So MCHP, microchip technology, they are into a lot of different pieces that deal with the AI sector when it comes to trying to put all the software, all the chips together. They deal with things like that. Another AI that I've been looking at, SoundHound. Now my
Hey.
advice with SoundHound is to, if you look at the chart here over the 1 month, we are sitting at a 78 RSI, which means we are completely on the overbought side. And if you look at the MACD right here, we see the gap that is up. So we want these two to close. So I think we could see a potential rise to about, maybe 16, maybe 15 and a half before we start to go and do a reversal to the downside for a little bit. You see that big green candle over the year. This has relatively been hot because of the AI sector. So I want people to see that this is something that I've had my eye on. At 14, it could be a buy zone at around $14. This might be something that you can look at getting shares, or
Yeah.
something that you can look at getting into calls as well. It's affordable for shares. 14, like I'm saying, a $14 buy-in is where I'm looking to get in. Be nice if it came all the way back down to 12. It'd be even nicer if it came all the way down here, but that's not going to happen based on the fact that we do have a lot of momentum. So if we can look at this chart from right here at the bottom, $9 would be really, really ideal. But I do see something in the 12s or the 14s as a buy. Scale into maybe again at 12. If we can make it back down to 9, definitely load up and buy some more. So Soundhound and MCHP. The one that I'm looking at that, if you knew KT and I a year to 2 years ago, and we had this craze with SPACs, um,
Mm.
specialty companies that bought, other companies, they merged. Um, this first SPAC was somewhat of a dream to many that I'm talking about because of the fact that it dealt with flying cars, evolution of the electric vehicle that is, EVOL, that flies. They're a company that started with that, and so if you look at their year, um, they have grown. Again, they are also at a 69, 70 range for RSI, so it's a little bit on the overbought side right now. But if you look at overall when they came out, you know, as a SPAC and see that just they started high, they came back down. Um, just something that now you're starting to see that it's starting to take fruition with the actual company itself. Now, the reason why I like this stock, not only because it is into the electric vehicles that fly, that lift off, um, EVOL is what they're called. Um, this stock now is also into drones. They are into more of a defense as well because they are operating with sectors that deal with, well, how can we want to build these electric vehicles that fly, but what about drones, what about defense, all that. So now they are getting monies to develop, to build, and so that's why Joby Aviation is something that I'm really, really, really looking at. And the last SPAC that we looked at a long time ago, and now we are, oh, there goes that ball of death again, that swirl,
Mm.
Rocket Lab. And Rocket,
Mm.
oh my goodness, when it first, if you look at this, woo, $4 to $23. Now, if you were in a long time ago, good for you. We were not, because when we
Mm.
first came out, we, obviously they all started down here at the bottom, but they have sent some stuff out in the outer space. I do see it coming back down a little bit. Ideally, we would be in the 20s, the 15s for a buy zone. Um, but they weren't a one hit wonder. So they've got companies out there that are actually investing into them. Their partner shares, partnerships. And so Rocket Labs, RKLB, is something that I'm looking at. But out of all these, I'm not going to lie, I think the one that really, really has my attention is going to be Joby Aviation. So JOBY. It's an $8.48 stock. It is something that definitely you can get into. Now, the moment of truth, of course, for the bragging rights. If you look at the 1 month chart on Tesla, let me say it one
Ooh.
more time. Tesla. If you look at that 1 month chart, 309, and today we are at 390.
Ooh.
You
Ooh.
were on this planet, and if you at least watched one episode,
Mm.
you know that
Mm.
we've been talking about this Tesla for a long, long time. Now,
Hey,
here
man, I'm
is
happy.
why I'm bringing up Tesla because we have a very high RSI and our MACD has a humongous gap, which means we are going to have a little bit of pullback. Now, the reason why I'm talking about it, not just because of the fact that I just sold some calls that I bought at probably around 95 each, sold for about 3,800 each. Um, woo-hoo-hoo. And and you could have too if you would have been in there with
Yeah,
us. Um,
yeah.
but normally we always preach what the company can do, and normally we preach technicals. But tonight I'm going to tell you that the technicals are a little bit high, so wait for a pullback. But
Mm-hmm.
Tesla is on the move. Tesla is on the rise. They got some things out there, with Elon Musk and Donald Trump working together. They've got some things hidden from the public as far as what they are working on. I'm gonna say this tonight. They are not just a car company anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that right one more time. They are not just a car company. They've got some things out there with technology. They've got some things going out there with, cars that do drive by themselves. But they are working on some software. They are working on some things that they are not. Their goal is to not be just a car company. Well, I say that to say, let it pull back a little bit before you start making some calls because the calls are really, really, really expensive. And so, ideally, if you're looking to get in, your first zone will be around the 245, but I doubt that it hits that low. So, if we get lucky, let me look at this 1 month chart. If we can get, fortunate to get to 375, 374, the 360 area, that's where I would start to consider, buying some more if we can do that. Because like I said, right now we're almost at 390. In my opinion, we hit 400 relatively soon because we have, we did gap up to 400, and then we come down a little bit in the past couple of days. I do think we go back to 400. Um, I've got 450 calls from March. If we get close to that, KT,
Mm.
I don't know
That's a
what's
wrap.
going to
That's a
happen.
wrap, bro. That's a wrap. Hey, look, man.
So,
As we get ready to close that out, I just want to say one thing, man. I was fortunate enough to get into Sound at $8, about 125 of them, and I rode it. And when it hit
okay.
15, I did not. I sold everything. I just sold everything, man. I was like, there'll be another time, but I took it all, man, and I was very excited about that. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I can do another rinse and repeat. I did get back in at like 1430, but only a nibble, because I do know what goes up must come down. Dan.
Mhm.
Hey, right. Well, so now when you say what should you look at, I know we talked a lot. We talked about the Tesla. Um, then we talked about the Apple. Now, what was the stock? The Joby.
Joby and microchip technology, um,
Mm-hmm.
because micro MCHP or T is when you look at the trend, it looks like it's about to break out. So definitely microchip technology and Joby is just something that I've been, researching in the past month or so, and so it's about that buy time for me too. I'm gonna let it see if it can fluctuate a little bit down, but I think it's getting close to that buy area.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. That will do it with trading with Ortiz. Big shouts out to you, man. Thank you so
All
much for that.
right, all right.
Now the question is, will y'all listen? And will y'all come back next week and say, I hit that lick too? Or will we be talking about it and you be left out of the month one more time? You make the decision. All right, what we'll do, let's take a quick break. And then when we get back, we will go into a little platform probing. I think I got a good one for y'all. We'll be right back.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
All right, y'all, platform probing. Let's go. All right, y'all, for the platform probing, in this section, what we do is we like to kind of pull up those charts because what I tell you each week that the money is inside of the charts. So a lot of the time people say it's like gambling. I'll be like, no, not really. Because with the gambling, you go in there, you're going to pull that lever or you just going to roll them dice. Here, I at least get to look at historical patterns, right? And so a lot of the times that past predicts that future. Not saying all the time, but if I can know what I'm looking at here and give myself a leg up or some kind of insight, then I'm not just going in blind, the same as it would be with a gamble. So inside of the platform probing tonight, we will talk about Palantir, ticker symbol PLTR. And so if you have been trading, you've been on your ding, you know that, man, was that 2 years ago? Maybe 2 years ago, this Palantir was about $8, right? And so then it just kept going. I remember buying at 8 and then selling. I remember getting back in at 15, then selling. I remember getting in at 40 and then selling. And here we are at $72, down 5% for the day. And so what I want us to do is kind of look at an article about Palantir before we jump into the stock. So what's happening is December 13th, NASDAQ, which is one of the what you call them things, man? Like S&P or so one of the indexes that holds a lot of our technology stocks, right? It holds our Apple, it holds the Nvidia, the QQQ, pretty much all of our tech stocks. Palantir has really been making a wave. They've really been growing. They've been expanding their government contracts because that's what their defense stock, right? So what Palantir does is they go in, they use the AI to create data about your company, right? Or either companies already have things that have data along with them. Palantir comes in and makes all of that data easier to read. And so a lot of their money comes from defense contracts because simply they breaking down what's happening on the battlefield in real time for America. That's what they've been doing. December 13th, it's not announced yet, but it could be in the building. And we know that if Palantir moves to the NASDAQ, that's another catalyst to kind of push it all the way over. I looked at an interview last year. He said, man, we are going to 10 times. And it was at $40 then. The brother been holding on to what he said, and he's been making it happen. But today, there was a pullback, so we'll look at that. But the first thing I want to do is let's look a little bit into this story, because the story says, should you buy Palantir stock before December 13th? So the key points, Palantir changes stock exchange from the NYSE to the NASDAQ. On December 13th, new additions will be announced for the NASDAQ 100 index. Palantir could earn inclusion into that NASDAQ, which is a catalyst that could fuel the stocks higher as we go. So 2024 has been jam-packed with milestones, but like we said, one more surprise could be in the runnings, and that is getting announced into the NASDAQ. So this year, December 13th falls on a Friday, which is affiliated with bad luck and superstition. But if you hold in the bag for Palantir, this may be the good news that we need to kind of take Palantir from 74. It went up all the way to 79, almost $80, and it got rejected. And here we are back at 72. So that is what is going on with Palantir. That is the importance of December 13th, because we know if they head that way, then the bag is up. So now this is what I want to do. I want to take us over to Palantir as we go inside of our trading view platform. And so I'll give you a little bit of insight on what this is. So Jose, can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I'll do a little context. For me, when I'm looking at my trading view, when I'm looking at my platform, I use 3 moving averages, right? And so that is my 20-day moving average, which is the green. I use a 60-day moving average, which is the blue. And I use a 200-day moving average, which is my yellow. All of these telling me what has been the stock price most of the time over the last 20 days. Where have those candles closed? Where has the stock price been over the last 60 days? And where has the stock price been over the last 200 days? And if you look at Palantir, we ain't got nothing but blast off, y'all. Nothing but blast off. Look, we played in the mud a little bit back here in June 24. Oh, look at May. Where were we, bro? This is 21 bucks. It's $21, y'all. Just think of you $100. Get you a quick 5 of them. That $100 is almost, look, you look. You jumped out the game, right? So now what's going on is we had a pullback today. And so the reason I'm talking about Palantir, because I just showed you what could be a catalyst for Palantir. They also expanded their contracts with the government today. And so everything for Palantir is going good, right? So then we look over here a little bit at the technicals. Our next earning, 65 days. So we got a little time. Market cap, 165 billion. Look at our earnings trajectory, y'all. We have been on an uprise every time. So I don't see anything to be different. When we look at the technicals, our technicals say buy, and our analyst ratings have been giving us a neutral. The reason we get a neutral is because when you get all this right here, if they tell you to buy, they telling you to buy at the top. Like this is an all-time high. They really can't say that professionally, but the technicals can tell you what's next for Palantir. All right, so now as we go through this, y'all know I am a 4-hour rider, right? So for me today, let's go back and look a little short before we get there. So we look at Palantir. This morning we were here. We were at $80.93. We got the rejection from $80. So when you think about stocks and you're looking at those round numbers, when I get to my tens, when I get to 100, 150, all of those numbers, I could get a pullback. Even when we talked about sound, right? What happened? My first run, once I seen sound reject off of 1500, I just closed it out because I didn't know what's going to happen next. And if I seen their profit and I locked it in, then I'm good, because you never know. And what's happening? Sound till this day is still struggling and getting rejected at that 15. Enough rejections, and it's going to head back down. And we may get that 11, 12, 10 that we're looking for. Same thing with Palantir. We got up to that 80. Nice round number. What happened? We saw that rejection. And here we go. We doing a fall off, and we got some bad things happening in the city. So I see weakness, right? But I'm not going to buy off of this chart because I'm not looking to trade this for one day. I'm saying what is going to happen long term. How can I go in and look for a 50% return on my money? So that's when I say, let me check the 4-hour chart. And lo and behold, what do I have on the... I'm sorry, y'all, I get a little excited when I see this because I know that's money. Look what happened on the 4-hour chart when we came to Palantir. So what I want to see when I'm getting ready, because you got to think this is 8 hours. So this was my full day. I look in, I see it hit this line right here. But what happens? It rejects. So remember what we do when we're looking at this line. We got support. We got resistance. So if you look at this line, remember when it came break, this is resistance. We got here resistance, here resistance. Anytime you see those wicks at the top, that means it's resistance. That means it cannot break. Finally, it broke through this line, and then what happened? It went on by this way. We got back up to our round number. We get some rejection, so we can already put another line here to say this is our resistance, right? So now we figured out our resistance, but now the line that was our previous resistance has turned into support. And that's what you always want to see. You want to see a break, which was our break, but then we got a retest of this line. Did it break through this line? No. That tells me that this is a strong support, right? Because when it supports on the 4-hour, when I go back to my lower time frames, then that's going to tell that lower time frame to give a little push before things go. And what happened? It told it to push. And this what happens on my smaller time frames when I get a support on my 4-hour. So that's why we get what we got here. But this tells me, okay, now I don't buy yet. I'm just watching. And then I see this one come in. This is my second 4-hour chart candle of the day. And what happened? We got more support, right? Because this one came all the way down here too. But look at where it's at right now. We are at like 73.60 as we went into after hours, which means I'm already in my bag, right? But this is what I just want to show you all. When we get ready to make those decisions, we come over to our 4-hour chart. We look at our support. And if we see this support, you don't think about it. You simply react to it. And what happens is if this comes down here and it closes under this line. So you see right here, if we push down and I get something like this, I'm going to sell because this is no longer my support. I could get support here, but my rule is if it closes under this line, I got to go. I can always come back when it gets above this line and I see this again. But until I see this, I got to kind of let Palantir do its stuff. That goes the same for, and I want to show it real quick because it was right next to it. I missed to hit the button or something, and so I was able to see this too. So this is what I'm talking about right here. Look at Palo Alto, right? And so they have been doing their thing. I think they got a stock split coming up. Palo Alto, though, ran up crazy over the last few weeks, right? We get all the way up to like 408. Today, it was 409. But where did they end today? At 380. What is this? 380. Boom, 387. So we'll say 388. What's happening is I see, what do I see? This is, can you see me pointing at that little wick right there? That wick came down here, and what happened? They said, whoa, some buyers stepped in. And so what I'll look at now is this the time to get into Palo Alto? Because it just piqued my interest, because what I wait on is I buy when it's retested on the 4-hour chart. Palo Alto is retested. I'll wait to see tomorrow if this supports or does this open here. In after hours, Palo did go back up. I want to say it's like 391 right now, which really shows that support. Let's look at it. Yeah, so 392. I'm sorry, 392 is where it's at after hours before TradingView really stopped reporting after hour moves, right? So if you got right here and you already seen it supported here, you already making money, right? This was 387, 388, all the way up to 392. That's a nice move. If you have a theta of, a delta of like 51 to 60, every dollar is potentially $50 in your pocket. So this means just this quick move here in those 4 hours could at least got you a quick $200, $300. And that's only if you got one contract. Let's say you got 3, 4 contracts, you hit almost $1,000 within that time, depending on where you at. So these are the pieces as we go in and look at our chart on how we can get into our bag by going off that 4 hour. And so the biggest thing I want you to look at is Palantir, because we just had a good pullback. You see, we're supporting in a good place off the 4 hour, and December 13th is going to be a big day for Palantir, right? So you can be patient, but right now you got a good setup. If your stop loss get hit, you get out of there. But if not, you ride that thing back up to $80 and beyond. Buy yourself some time on your calls. That will do it for platform probing. Go check that out. If you missed it, go run this back for tonight. And I think that's gonna hold us, man. Jose, we already hit that hour mark, man. Any last words before we get ready to shut this thing down tonight?
Man, I'm looking at that Palantir, man.
Hey, look, you see, hey, it's about that time, baby. Hey.
Man, did I tell you that I had 5 $40 calls for January?
You sold them.
I did, long time ago.
Yeah. Hey, still got that profit though.
Yeah, but them boys are $3,800 today.
Yeah. That thing's rolling now though, bro. That thing is rolling now, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't rinse to repeat it. Shoot, I remember I rinsed. I bought up at 40, took that thing up. And because I had it, man, I bought a 2027, like a long time ago, 2026. I'm sorry, I was just holding, ran out the roof, sold, didn't want to jump back in. So then I bought a bunch of shares. Boom, the shares went through the roof, sold them. Then I waited for today, seen this retest, boom, jump back in on my long dated option. So we just getting to the bag. I think I got a 70 delta on that mug too, man. So it's gonna get crazy out here, man. All right, I think that will do it for us. Big shouts out to everybody that tuned in today. If you missed anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love to take questions, have them for the next episode. Also, if you missed anything and you want to learn more about getting into the charts, go back to where we talked about the basics, right? We were really intentional about taking it real slow before we started jumping into plays and jumping into more technicals in those first few episodes. So if you want to know back more of how this thing all started and just what is a call, what is a wick, like what are all those things, go back to the beginning, episodes 1 through 5, and we will game you up. If there is nothing else, man, thank you everybody once again. This is KT and my co-host
JoJo.
Hey, and we will see y'all next week. It's KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KTTV.